another week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show, episode 276. Mr. Summit. Sorry about the delay, folks. Twice now, my son has interrupted something. I've had two things that were time sensitive today, and both times my 3-week-old son decided to interrupt it, and I guess that's just how things go. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining us live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I'm excited, Mr. Summit. We're going to Canterbury. We've hyped the place up, and now we're officially covering it on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, like Colson clearly just getting in the way of things. Derby Day, baby. So first we start off there, and now we're already 3 weeks in, delaying the Magic Mike Show. You got to talk to this kid, man. It's just not acceptable.
I'm trying. He doesn't understand the concept of however, not just our time, but the viewers, the fans that come to watch us. He's interfering with their time too. Come on, kid. Exactly,
man. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to checking out. I think what is a tough pick 5 sequence here from Canterbury. We don't usually do these mid card or midweek pick 4s and pick 5s, but just not a lot happening this weekend. So, looking forward to getting at it. I was going to play this card either way. I love playing the pick 5 at Canterbury there. It's 10% takeout. And there was a back and forth about HPI today, and you posted up a specific chart, which I thought was interesting. One of the key indicators there is that the takeout at Canterbury is 10% for the pick 5, but 23% for that pick 4. So the better bet value-wise is definitely that pick 5. Also really highlights how Sam Houston is absolutely nuts. You look at the pick 3 takeouts, and they're 12%, and everyone else is in the 20s. So that was definitely something else that I kind of caught there. So yeah, looking forward to this, man. It's going to be a fun Monday show. It was a pretty good weekend, so I'm looking forward to getting this rolling.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, not just the Canterbury coverage, which is going to be great. We've got the Brothers Fuentes riding all over the place in the pick 5 sequence there. But we also had a pretty fun weekend, and I'm just going to lead into it. I'm pretty sure that I know what the best thing you saw this weekend was, but I'll tip my cap to you and let you take over.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy choice here. I got to say the best thing I saw was the Sama Bombs this weekend. We had a weekend, 27 for 28 at Belmont in the 3 days, which is always nice. But on top of that, 4 pick 5s, 5 pick 4s. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Just kept hitting top pick winners too, which is always nice when you're rolling some pick 3s. So it was nice to have a lot of pick 3s on Saturday when we swept the card. I had 7 top pick winners on Saturday, and they weren't all just chalk either. It was nice to get Smoking Home, who we both picked. Horses are 4-5 to 1. You get those numbers in pick 3s where you're betting $10, $20 in a pick 3. It adds up pretty quick. I'm not gonna lie. So it was a great weekend for the Sama Bombs. It was a fun betting weekend for myself, and really enjoyed Belmont. We're gonna go back there next weekend. Not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, we wait to the end of the show to say where we're gonna go for Thursday's show, guys. We're going back to Belmont. The fact that both of us hit that was just, I loved it. I was pissed because the sequence did a lot of work handicapping it, and I'm not kidding. Just about half of my picks for the entire sequence scratched out, and I was like, what the fuck, did it rain? Why is everybody missing from this? So I got mad. I went through and rehandicapped and made a slightly more expensive ticket, just going all in the last. I did narrow it down because it was down to 8, and I was like, well, there's 5 that I would play, but if I'm going to go over 50% of the field, I might as well just hit the all. Plus, it's the last leg, which usually can kick my ass, so I just want to go home and get out of here. And I was actually alive to up to 1.2K on that ticket, so ends up going a little chalky, but my favorite part, other than both of us hitting it, which is great when we both can cash, Get Smokin' was my strongest opinion on the entire card. I texted Aaron when I was first looking at it. I was like, am I stupid for wanting to single this horse? He didn't say I was single because it was a very ballsy one. But in hindsight, Decorated Invader, I still think, is trying to finish that race. So should have just singled it. You singled it in your $5 ticket. So high fives all around. It was a pretty exciting day.
Yeah, it was. It was so close, man. That $5 ticket cost $20 that we gave out. And I thought the 3 was going to wire that field in the last. I mean, I really did. And it's frustrating because we had some scratches in the race before, which meant that I was down to 1 top pick, and the 8 horse, I don't remember the name. The 8 horse was a first-time starter who we both liked. And I only had the 1 horse was the only other horse I liked in that last race. And because of scratches, I could have singled the second race, which the single won, my top pick won. And I used the 1 and the 3, which is what I did in a pick 5 that I gave out in the Sama Bombs press for $2. And that would have gotten that $5 ticket home, and that would have just, I mean, everything would just explode if we could have gotten that, made that happen. But I thought the pace setup for that 3 in the last was great. And he just didn't get home, man. That kind of sucked. But what can you do?
that horse hit the wall of all walls. You said the Get Smoking, which the whole thing we had said was lone speed on New York turf in a stakes race. You can't pass that up. And we got whatever the price was that he ended up being. I think it was $4.40 for $1. Way too cheap for what that horse, or way too much money that we got for him. So it was great. Hopefully you were able to cash in on it. And actually, Mike, I have a present for you here just because of how well you did. So 1 second here.
Oh boy.
If it'll play.
The champ is here. 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 The champ is here.
So congratulations. You did a good job. I wanted to give you some shout out. Those were all the people who I saw on Twitter who were reaching out and saying that they had cashed. And there's plenty more Salmo Bombs customers who we didn't hear from, but just wanted to say congratulations to you and everybody who bought the products over the weekend, because, man, you must have been rolling in some dough. I feel bad for Vicky, one of our longtime listeners and followers. She was stuck for 2 days in Texas, unable to bet, and she was and she loves to play the Salmo Bomb. She was actually cashed on Friday, and she must have just been sitting there pulling her hair out on Saturday and Sunday because she couldn't play those tickets with how well you were doing.
She hammers those pick threes too. She would have made a lot of money on Saturday if she was playing her big pick threes, was just top pick and after top pick coming in. So yeah, that was a bummer. I'm glad she got in on Friday, was able to get some money then. And hopefully we stay hot this weekend. I'm going to be actually down in Texas, so I'm going to be betting my picks at the track. I'm in the Lone Star tournament Saturday, Sunday, and Monday this weekend. So we'll be down there, and then I will be out in Los Angeles next week. Magic. We may have to do our first live show in, I don't know what, a year and a half, something like that.
It was Sam Houston 2020, early, so like January 2020. Yeah, if you actually, the intro video, there is a clip of it from Mike and I from that last time that we hung out together and did a live show. So yeah, but we have never done a live show since we got with StreamYard. That's going to be the interesting part, because we've never usually just sit there. We spend 10 minutes trying to figure out how do we go live on Twitter again, and now we can just do a StreamYard. Don't have to worry about it.
I love it, man. No leaning iPads against computers.
I mean, we still can for old time's sake if you want, but we don't have to. The best thing that I saw too was, you saw it, everybody who was reaching out about the Salmo Bombs. It's not only great when Mike hits or when I hit, but the whole reason we do the show is to try and educate people and help everybody learn and grow. And when everybody can cash like that, it's such a great feeling. So the best thing that I saw, all those tweets, all the people congratulating Mike, and congratulations to you folks, because you put your faith in Mike. We all know he can be streaky. That's his style. But man, when he's hot, it's so good for you.
Yeah, it's carrying over to Parks today too. We're killing Parks for some reason in tournaments. So hopefully we can just keep it going into Canterbury tomorrow. We just had like parimutuel chaos at Indiana Grand. I don't know if you saw this. There was a really weird DQ where they put a 66 to 1 shot up to start the pick 5, and then a 16 to 1 shot won the next race. The favorite won the third leg of the pick 5. Someone scooped the pick 3 pool. I've never seen a favorite win in a pick 3 and it be a scoop pool. So that was kind of interesting. I'm guessing we'll have pick 5 carryover to Indiana Grand tomorrow too.
Wow, I did see that there was a 66 to 1 that won, but I didn't realize somebody scooped a pick.
Yeah, scoop the pick 3 pool with a 9 to 5 horse in the sequence.
That's the bizarre part.
Yeah,
it's 66 to 1, 16 to 1. You're like, oh, you throw a 20 to 1 in there, sure. The 9 to 5, you could have singled, you could have gone all, and well,
there you go. And the whole pool's yours.
Congratulations to whoever that was. Like Mike said, on today's show, we're going to be looking at the late pick 5 sequence at Canterbury Park on Tuesday, May 25th. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up. All right, kicking things off for the 10% takeout late pick 5 at Canterbury Park on Tuesday, May 25th. Race 5 on the card is a field of 8 geldings, 3 and up, going a mile and the 16th on the turf, in for a $16,000 tag. Unless you're a Minnesota bred, then you can run for a $25,000 tag. And also, these are non-winners of 2 lifetime for open company. If you're Minnesota bred, non-winners of 3 lifetime. Speaking of Minnesota breds, Mike, the favorite is the number 7 Big Falcon Rocket, a Minnesota bred at 5-2. There's no Ruben Fuentes riding. There's no Luis Fuentes riding in here. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is going to be an all button for me because if my 2 riders aren't in this, I'm going to hit the all button. What are you doing?
I actually did the same thing. I went ahead and hit the all button here. Did you look at my ticket before this?
No, I didn't.
This race confused the shit out of me. I'm just gonna be totally honest. Like I went through this race multiple times and tried. This is a turf race. We have a lot of horses that have limited turf experience, so you're kind of looking at pedigrees, who's coming from where. You also have horses just coming from all over the place. I mean, we have horses coming in from Turf Paradise. We have horses coming in from Oaklawn. Horse off a layoff from Remington. We've got some Tampa Bay form. And kind of the two things that stuck out to me was I don't really like the 7 who's 5-2, and I don't like the 3 who is 7-2. And so when I take those two things into consideration, and then I start making cases for horses like Zorich, who's on the rail, for Stone Street, who's the 2 horse, who I think may actually get the lead in this spot. I don't have any huge opinions, but when my biggest opinion is I don't like the 2 shortest prices, I'm going to go ahead and hit the all button, especially if I think there are legs that I can shorten down later. And for me, this was just a really tough race to figure out what the pace was going to be like, and just the consistency of these horses isn't great. So I ended up hitting the all button here. I'm hoping we can get like a 10-1, 12-1 home.
I was surprised by how many California-bred horses or horses that have raced in California a lot, like Zorich, who were racing at Canterbury. So it's not just Ruben who came from California; they brought a bunch of horses in too. They have some pretty great purses at Canterbury. So if you're not cutting the mustard out in Santa Anita, for example, Zorich, move out here. You can get the job done. Diodoro's training him. You got Ty Kennedy aboard, so the horse is going to have a good chance. Did you have a top pick in mind from a price perspective, since you were looking to get away from the favorites here?
I mean, if I went for a top pick, it would probably be the 4 Tequila Blanco. This is an interesting horse. Won at Canterbury already this year, which I like, but that wasn't a $5,000 claimer. We're jumping all the way up to 16. This horse was claimed 2 back by Silva, by Silva himself at the $8,000 level or $8,500 level of Turf Paradise. But if you look at the races before that, I mean, you have a lot of Golden Gate for him. You got the synthetics. You got some decent buyers there against horses that I would assume are a little bit better than this group. And then you go back to those turf races, and you've got a 70 buyer, some high 60s buyers. And that was at both Santa Anita and Del Mar and Golden Gate. Those races are much better than what he's facing here. I'm not sure that form still exists in there, but I do like the fact that we're showing some confidence in raising up in the class. We're going from that 5,000 level up to the $16,000 level here. And I do think that this is the horse that probably has the best back turf form. I mean, people are going to gravitate toward a horse like the 7 horse, who's your favorite here. But when I look at Big Falcon Rocket, I mean, we're talking about a significant layoff where the trainer is 1 for 19. Off that type of layoff. The horse has never run a buyer in the 70s, as high as their mid 60s, essentially. And, those races where he ran mid 60s buyers, I mean, the last one in 65 is a second career high buyer. He finished 10th in that race. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, and he's also jumping up in class. And so you go through all this and you're like, I'm not sure how you get to 7-2 on that horse unless you think it's lone speed, but I don't think it's lone speed. So for me, this was a head scratcher, but I like the 2, the 4, and the 6 the most if I was going to try and shorten it here. And 2 of those are 10-1 plus horses.
Sorry, I forgot to take my mic off there, or unmute myself. So I didn't, when I talked to Mike about what we wanted to do today, I didn't have time to go through and handicap. So you're going to get Mike's ticket. Honestly, that's the better of the 2 tickets to go ahead and get anyways. But we did at least want to cover this for you guys. Man, the Big Falcon Rocket, that specific one, I felt like of all the favorites in this 5-race sequence, that was the one that felt the most likely to lose to me, because 5-2, I feel like it's going to get hit hard because of who the connections are. It's not a great one to want to bet, so I respect going for the all button, especially if you don't have the Fuentes brothers here. You really don't. For me, I wouldn't know where to go. Let's move on to the 6th race here on the card. This is a field of 10 geldings, 3 and up, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. These are non-winners of one other than or optional claiming price of $12,500, which applies to the number 2 Valiant Appeal. Favoritism just to his outside is the number 3 Wild Behavior at 5-2 here. Another 5-2 favorite. Ruben is in this race. He's riding the number 9 Ship It Red. That's the 4-1 second choice, by the way. For trainer Valerie Lund, Ruben and Lund already 2 for 9 coming into this second week at Canterbury. So he's at least got to be on your ticket here, right?
I'm not going to use Ruben here. I thought this was the best favorite in the sequence, to be honest with you. I thought Wild Behavior is a horse that you could single here if you wanted to. I almost singled. I chose to single at the end instead of singling here in this leg. But look, one of the biggest angles for me when you're going into somewhere like Canterbury is when horses are leaving the big time tracks, right? And the 9 is coming out of Oaklawn, but wasn't necessarily running great while doing that. The 2 horse just came out of Keeneland and ran a pretty good race at Keeneland. When we're talking about a $75,000 non-winners of one allowance, The winner of that race was Answer In. West runs second. King Snake runs third. All respectable horses. The horse comes back with a 79 buyer, and now we're dropping into a $12,000 non-winners of one optional claimer at Canterbury. I mean, this is a track drop. It's a actual race class drop. You're facing significantly worse horses. I mean, you can't really go into how much of a drop this is. And the main thing from that race, that 3 horse that people would knock is, well, he quit. Well, he quit going 22, 44, and 3 against better horses, right? I mean, now we're going to go, let's say 22, 45-ish. And this horse is going to be forwardly placed, going to sit in a good spot. I also like the trainer switch with 22% first time with a trainer. We're coming off a bullet workout at the track, so I have no concerns about how the horse is going to handle the racetrack. To me, it's all systems go here on Wild Behavior.
I also love there's an Into Mischief here out at Canterbury. It might not be an Into Mischief that was getting the job done at Keeneland or Churchill Downs, but you bring an Into Mischief up here, you got a good shot. Lothenbach Stables is a big client for Ian Wilkes, the former trainer, so I'm sure they tried everything they could to get this horse to succeed at the bigger track. So it hasn't won at the distance before, but I think the simple fact this is an Into Mischief, you got plenty of great breeding here. That alone makes me want to play this horse in this spot.
Yep, and it just, this is one of those situations where you see a horse that kind of feels like it's a little bit head over head. It's got a lot of, how do I put this properly? Look, the horse has just more maturity here. It's been racing against so much tougher. It's you don't want to say it's a classier horse because it's not running graded stakes. It's not but this is a classier horse in a sense that's faced a lot tougher in its life. And it's just getting a step back here. I didn't specifically single because of the 4 Sky Jumper. I think this horse is really interesting. And, this is a Bob Baffert horse from early 2020 that was running in California. Horse broke its maiden second time out, started on turf, then goes to dirt, runs a huge race third time out, then goes oddly 3 days later is in a claiming race. That can't be right. Can it? No, okay, a month later. It's in a claiming race. Faces Canby, who's a pretty good horse. We don't see this horse again after that claim was voided, so something went wrong there. But notice who the owner is. It's Justin Evans, right? So he probably purchased this horse privately. It's also your trainer, who, by the way, is 30%, but doesn't often ship horses here to Canterbury. But what caught my eye is look at those workouts. I mean, just look at those workouts. I mean, 58-3, 58-4, 57-2, 46-1. It is just bullet after bullet after bullet. And you saw a 91 buyer in the past. There's some talent in here. Since the trainer is the owner, you also know this horse isn't running unless he's ready to go. This is an investment for Justin Evans, so he's making sure this horse is going to be 100% prepped and ready to go. I don't want to leave the 4 off because I'm scared he's just going to get out there and no one's going to catch him.
Yeah, pretty smoking fast. As Alex said, which, by the way, glad to see Alex Berg in the chat. This is his home track, so we're happy that we can have you joining us here, Alex. 6-1 on this horse that, other than, something went wrong with that last race to have the claim voided out, but and to disappear for that long. But like Alex said, a $200,000 plus purchase at one point in the Baffert barn. The only concern is, Baffert horses tend to get ridden hard, put away wet, and those bullet works 1, 2, 3, 4 last 4 workouts are all bullets. That tells me this horse is probably going to be doing okay, at least for one race.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know the whole story behind this at some point of how this horse ended up in the barn, because it had to be a private purchase, right? I mean, that's the only way that you see that. And I wouldn't be shocked if Justin Evans was somewhere part of that claim too, because he runs a lot of Turf Paradise. That's where you see all those workouts at. So I wouldn't be shocked if his plan was to bring that horse down there and ended up being able to purchase it privately for less. So, but all of this tells me this horse is going to fire. And if it's not going to fire, it's going to scratch. And so for me, I kind of want one of those 2 horses, and we'll take it from there. I think there's a couple other interesting horses in here. Like the 1 horse, Make Me Blush, is interesting, but I'm worried this might be a little bit too big of a step up. It's a $30,000 optional claimer, but there's only 6 horses in that field when he was able to air it, and he was even money. So that tells me there was not much in there, and that's kind of why I'm moving away from the 1. I do think that the 5 is a little bit interesting too. Horses coming in from Tampa Bay often are pretty successful here, and we had this, the 5 is taking a huge drop. We're talking optional $75,000 non-winners of 1, dropping in here to $12,000 non-winners of 1. Was 7-1 in that effort. They're taking the blinkers off, which means the horse didn't like the blinkers at all, and you're kind of getting second off a layoff here. So I think Bear Bryant's interesting too. Sold for $300,000.
I was going to ask you if you remember this horse because he debuted at Sam Houston on January 9th. It was an episode of the Magic Mike show that we covered, and I believe this was the race that started that pick four sequence. You used him and I didn't. We both were sitting here going, this is a $300,000 purchase that Asmussen had working at bigger tracks, and then all of a sudden just shows up at Sam Houston. We went, that's not a great sign. This horse maybe isn't really that good. Wins, and then they immediately put it in a sale. Kerry Raven, the owner-trainer, bought it for, I want to say, less than $100,000. Like, the horse, $300,000, wins on debut, and immediately sells for pennies for what they bought. So I was curious to see if you remember us covering this horse before.
I do, and I looked at that race and I saw Steve Asmussen. I mean, honestly, they probably did well. You know, they cut bait at the right time.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, if they got $100,000 for the horse plus the purse in the first race, they got $120,000 back for a $300,000 purchase. I can tell you, there's a lot worse purchases in horse racing.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. I'm going to see if I can figure out what did he last sell for. Give me one second. I'm going to pull up his Equibase here.
The other horse I thought was interesting.
Sorry.
150K. That's pretty good. Other horse I thought was interesting was the 8 Zoe's Delight. So, you know, if you do want to kind of shorten up the first leg and spread here, I would be looking at the 3, the 4, the 6, and the 8. And this one is one where you saw. This is interesting because a lot of times at Canterbury, you'll have long layoffs where horses just run at Canterbury, but you have to look at how well the trainer does off those layoffs and who they are. Specifically here, Tony, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Ragstroff generally does pretty well off these type of layoffs, runs pretty much just this string at Canterbury, and only will run them when Canterbury is running. He's 17% off 180 days, so that's pretty good. You see there's not a ton of runners here. He's 24 runners over the full year, 6 of them had won. That's pretty darn good. And again, I look down at the workouts. If I'm going to play a horse first off a layoff that hasn't run in a while, I'll check those out. You got a 47 flat workout, 3 back. You've got a 59-2 last time out, third at 27. And the horse is $1.50 to 1, almost the favorite, second choice last time at this level. So I think it's interesting as we're going to see this horse come back at this level again from what he was running at last year.
Let's take a look now at race 7 on the card. You've got 10 males 4 and up, going 7.5 furlongs on the turf course. It's going to be a fun one because I think this is the only one that's on the turf that we're covering. These are horses that have started for a claiming price of $5,000 or less in the past 1.5 years. It's an optional claiming race. Nobody's in for a tax. We don't have to worry about that. Your favorite is another Robertino Diodoro horse at 5-2. It's the number 4 Shinny, a California bred. But both of the brothers Fuentes are in this race. Ruben is on the number 6 Sir Brahms, an Arkansas bred, because why not, at 15-1, and Luis is on the 8 Be Gone Daddy, the 4-1 second choice here. You've got to at least use one of these two. I understand if you don't want to use Ruben's horse, but you've got to use the 8 Be Gone Daddy somewhere on your ticket, right?
Be Gone Daddy's my top pick here.
Okay, there we go.
I think this race just sets up really well for the 8 horse. And again, you've seen some trainers do really well. Our buddy Dick here, 6 horses, 2 winners, 3 seconds, 5 of them in the top 2. You got to kind of look at those trainers that are hot, those barns that are hot, or start out hot, and focus on them. And again, this is another trainer coming from Turf Paradise and coming up north. Look, last time out was the first time we'd seen this horse on turf since its debut. I thought the 67 buyer was pretty good. If you go back and watch that race, the horse had a lot of chug late. He was really coming. This is about an applicable level of what we were running at down at Turf Paradise that we're going to run at here at Canterbury. So I like the spotting of the horse. But to me, one of the main reasons I ended up on the 8 here, and one of the reasons I like the 7, who's a price as well, I think there's just a boatload of speed here. If you look at the inside, I'm sorry. If you look at the different speeds here, you got the 3 horse that wants to go. The 4 horse is going to be forwardly placed. The 6 horse, Sir Brahms, that you mentioned, Ruben's probably going to send there. I see a ton of speed coming out of this race, and I think it kind of sets up well for a horse that's going to come from off the pace. To me, that's the 8 Be Gone Daddy. The 7 Notorious Nick is my other must-use horse here. We're 10-1 morning line. This one will probably be a little bit more forwardly placed. But if you go back to those Gulfstream Park races, where this horse was running 7.5 furlongs in a mile at Gulfstream Park, which is similar to what we're doing here, you see some absolutely monster numbers. Now, yeah, that was in the Saffy barn, so grain of salt there. But we do know that there is the turf talent there and the ability to stalk. This horse doesn't have to be on the lead. The last few at Tampa, the horse has been more forwardly placed. I think you're going to get, first off, going from the Florida turf circuit to the Canterbury turf circuit, significant drop in class right there. Even though I realize we're at the exact same level, this is a drop in my mind. Butler Road at Tampa, we're getting Butler back here. I think the horse has the ability to stalk, and I think that 10-1 price is pretty nice. So I'm going to put the 7 and the 8 on as the 2 must-use horses for me here.
Real quick, because this is the one turf race in the sequence. I don't know Canterbury. I'm sure a lot of our listeners probably don't know it that well. How does the turf course at Canterbury often play? Is it usually pretty fair, speed favoring like Gulfstream? What do you think?
I would lean towards speed, especially inside speed. So when you have a wild upset, it's kind of like Gulfstream Park in this sense. When you have one of those wild upsets, it's because the 1, 2, or the 3 has speed and they just go. You see a lot of very fast first quarters and a lot of mediocre second quarters because people will rush to try and get the lead, and then everyone will just back it up. So you'll see a horse sprint 2-3 lengths clear, or 2 or 3 horses sprint 2-3 lengths clear the whole field, and then just kind of slowly back up. And then it becomes trip dependent. I mean, there's a couple races last week where I feel like I had the best horse who got a bad trip and just couldn't get to the leader. There was one to kick off a pick 5. The one horse that won was like 30-1 or something. And there were 2 or 3 horses that were better than it, but just got in trip trouble trying to get home. And that can happen quite a bit. So, I mean, to me, I'm generally looking for who I think is going to be the inside speed, unless we have a situation like this where it feels like there's just a ton of speed. And then I'm going to look for, then it usually will play fair enough to be able to play horses coming from the back.
I apologize. I'm an idiot. The opening race was also on the turf, so I missed that detail. I just was looking down. Oh yeah, there was another one because I couldn't believe we only had one turf race. But that is good to know. I appreciate you explaining that. Listen, if there's a get smoking in here, playing at Canterbury somewhere, that's the horse you want to play. That's what I learned from this past weekend, shipping it on Canterbury's turf. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to use one other horse here. I am going to use the favorite Shanny here, the 4 horse. I don't like this horse as much because it feels like it's a little speed dependent, but I also think the argument here is this is the best horse in the field, right? As your most likely winner, a couple of the races on dirt, the horse was able to show the ability to close. We haven't seen that same thing on the turf, so we're going to need to see a little bit of new dimension. But this is your most consistent horse in a field of rather inconsistent horses. Since I'm going all in the first leg, I have a big opinion in the last. I don't want this one to beat me. I want to make sure that I end up including the horse who I do think is most likely to win. I don't love the price, and that's why it's not that must use. So for me, if you're trying to construct a ticket that you're not using the all button in the first leg and you want to spread in a couple of places, you could just go 7-8 here and really separate yourself. I am going to end up putting that 4 here because I do think that Shinny has the best chance to win. But I don't absolutely love the horse. I don't think you have to use it.
It is a Square Eddie, Calbred Square Eddie. If this horse was in California, I know it would definitely be on my ticket. And another point here, we just talked recently about Justin Evans buying the horse from Bob Baffert and running it himself. This horse was bought when Redham Racing was done. It said this horse isn't very good anymore. Out of avoided claim, Justin Evans stepped up, bought the horse, ran it, got a win 2 wins in a second before the horse was claimed away, and then Diodoro started putting him on the turf. So this horse has got potential. It is, I think, going to be a very short price here. So if you're like Mike, if you can afford it, I think you should go ahead and use this one. But it's just fun to look at this, and I'm like, well, I don't know Canterbury, but I know who this horse is. I know Shinny pretty well.
Yep. Well, and again, Diodoro and Wade are probably is one of the more dominant jockey trainer combinations you're going to see there as well. I mean, Diodoro, I think, won the training title last year, and he's going to come up here in the next race as well. So you have a lot of connections that are respected there that they take money to.
All right, let's move on. Race 8 has a dozen Colts and Geldings in for a $10,000 tag, going 5 furlongs on dirt. I did confirm it is dirt, not turf, including a Wyoming bred here, Mike, because of course they have a breeding program in Wyoming. It's the number 1 Wyoming Conquest at 15-1. Not the favorite, though. That is going to be the number 7. Greater Cairo, 5-2. Oh, look, it's Diodoro and Lindy Wade. Man, the guys are on everything here. Ruben Fuentes is in here riding the 11 Illuminati, who's a Calbred, 12-1 for Valerie Lund. And Luis is on the number 3 JJ's Crown, the 5-1 third choice. Where are you going here?
I'm actually going to go to JJ's Crown as my top pick here. Going right back to Dick Capanucci. I don't even know. Barn.
I like the name, though.
Yeah, I do too. This horse has shown a ton of speed. We're going 5 furlongs here. You're going to see a ton of speed. I like the fact that this horse was going a little bit longer. You have so debuts at going 5.5 at Zia. Just chuck that race out. The next time out at Turf Paradise, goes 5 furlongs, wins, gets a 49 buyer, slowly improves. They try this horse on the turf. The horse can't quite hold for that 7.5 mile distance. I think that added stamina will definitely help the horse out here, help the 3 JJ's Crown out here. I also really like the fact, look, Luis Fuentes is the normal rider for this horse, so we're just shipping over here. I think that's definitely a positive. But the other thing I like is that last workout. One of my big concerns when playing horses that are cutting back in distance is that they can't handle that sprint speed out of the gate. And they find themselves too far back, especially in a 5 furlong race where you don't have very much time to close. This horse has shown the ability to be close to pace when running 5 furlongs. And then you have that 34 flat work. That tells me that this horse is geared up, ready to go. You always talk about that last 3 furlong work before race day that kind of tips the hand of a trainer when they really think the horse is going to roll. I think that's what we saw here. I think that it kind of tipped the hand that the 3 is going to have some speed and sit a perfect trip. You're going to see the 3 right behind 3 or 4 speed horses that are gunning up front and get first run at those leaders. And if JJ's Crown is good enough, I think you get the 5-1 price. And I think the 7 horse is going to be way over bet again here. So I'm going to put the 4 JJ's Crown on top. I am going to say the 7's a must use because, again, the 7 is the best horse in this field. I don't think you can really just completely chuck the horse out. I don't love the price, but I do think the horse is one of those that you kind of have to use it. And I'm only going 3 deep here.
I would like to see the 7 try turf. I can't believe that this Son of Cairo Prince has never tried the turf here at any point in his career. I mean, he's been at Gulfstream, Oaklawn, Oaklawn doesn't have, but Churchill, and now here at Canterbury. He's a little surprised this horse isn't on turf, but is adding the blinkers, which is a 25% move for Diodoro with a very positive ROI. So, boy, I can almost feel the pain. You're like, I got to use these horses. I got to use the chalk. I don't want to, but I got to use it because you got a couple prices. But earlier, and there's one I think you got in the last one here. That's gonna be interesting too. Yeah,
and I would love to throw this horse out, but I do think this is the most likely winner, and I do have top picks that are 5-1, 10-1 around here, and if I'm playing those horses and I get 2 or 3 home, and I don't play the most likely winner because I don't want to add onto the ticket, to me, especially for tickets going to cost $72, that's pretty silly in my mind. And like you said, Diodoro 25% with this angle, and this is one where you can tell he just wants to win the race and is expecting to lose the horse. Claim that horse for 12.5, runs it for 20, is able to get second place purse money there, which is about $5,000-$6,000. Now he's going to go ahead and drop down to the $10,000 level, where if he wins and gets claimed, it's a pretty tidy profit for 2 races. So I think it kind of the pattern sets up that the horse is going to run well. They're expecting to get claimed, and they're just going to make a couple bucks off it. So I do think you're going to see a pretty good race out of the 7. It's why I think you have to include it on your ticket there. The other horse I'm going to use in this spot is going to be the 4 horse Prince Leo. This is a little bit more stretch, I'm not going to lie, but I kind of like some of these Oaklawn races. When you look at them and you see how the horse ran, the 1, 2 back and 3 back specifically, I thought were good, solid races. I like horses coming out of Oaklawn and heading into to Canterbury. David Van Winkle has been very good to start off this meet. 3 horses of 9 starters in the top 2 with 2 winners. It's a 4-year-old second son of Midnight Loot. I think you could see a slight step forward here, and I don't think you need a monster step forward to be able to really compete and win. My biggest knock on the horses were coming out of state-bred races. I wish those were open company. It would give it a little more confidence in it. But at the 10-1 price, or 12-1 price, I'm willing to take a little bit of a shot with the 4 Prince Leo, who I think is going to be rolling late, and I'm hoping that we see just a pace meltdown because of how fast they're going to be going up front.
You don't see it too often, an Arkansas bred, get claimed out of the end of the meet at Oakland Park, which means that you no longer can run against your own kind. You have to go
wait a year.
Company.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't see that happen where someone claims the horse for 12.5 and says, okay, now we're going to go ahead and run, like knowing you got to go against open company. You have to wait, 8 months before you can start facing Arkansas breds again. So it is an interesting one to look at, and also claimed away from the breeder is also the trainer of that horse. So part of one of the 4.
There we go. glad that I'm using it.
yeah. Big Teddy, give us if you got any inside information on that horse. Well, Mike's already using it, but help the listeners feel better about this.
Right? I guess that's the real question here.
Yeah, that's true. That was my always favorite thing to do as a partial owner of a horse. I wouldn't say bet it. I'd say don't bet the horse. The horse is not going to win, and I'm almost always right about that one. Oh. So hopefully we don't hear from Big Teddy. So you went 3-4-7 in this one.
Yep.
Now we get to move on to the final leg here. Race 9. Let's see if we can go home with a nice little tidy profit in our hands. It ends a sequence with 9 males, 3 and up, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. And your favorite is the number 6, Discreet Tiger, 2-1 favorite. Number 4, To The Punch, is 3-1 second choice. Ruben took the race off. I heard he's got a pretty hot date at home, but his brother Luis doesn't, so he's going to step up and ride the number 1, Mr. Not Funny, 10-1 on the rail. Are you going to be laughing all the way to the bank on the Brother Fuentes, or are you going somewhere else here?
I'm going to single up here, and it's an aggressive one. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to play a 6-1 single here, and I'm going to go with the 3 horse. Harry Keep the Change, which is first off the claim here. We get Ty Kennedy up in the irons. Carrie Raven claimed this horse for herself out of Tampa Bay and then brought the horse here. She's only started 22 horses this year, 5 winners in that segment, 23%. The fact that we get Ty Kennedy up, I think, is a definite positive. Look, this horse was running against better in my mind at Tampa. You look at these races that were coming out of here. Started out in a maiden special weight for $23,000. Was able to get the lead and then kind of fell apart a little bit. Goes to a state bred maiden 40. at Gulfstream, so the water's a little bit deeper there. Again, able to be fast in that group, but then kind of just fell off and quit. And no, it was only 7-1 in that field, so it was bet pretty good. Dropped back down to maiden 20 in Tampa. Again, gets the lead. Can't quite make it all the way around. And then you have the 5 furlong win where this horse is claimed for $25,000. The fact that this horse was available for 20 to start before, wait one start, and then claim for 25, to me shows that this horse, like, she saw something that she could make into a winner. You don't pull that claim, and this is the trainer who claimed the horse. You don't pull that claim unless you think you have a good spot for it. I love the fact that we're running it back protected. I like the fact that it's a lighter raced horse who has a big chance to improve. And like I said, we get Kennedy in the irons, by the way. Kerry Raven, 1 for 5 off the claim, so we're 20% there. I think all systems are go here, and I love the fact that we show up here and we're going to try this field. I think the 3-horse keep the change is going to go wire to wire in this field.
One horse that caught my attention a little bit here, and maybe there's a lack of speed, which is going to hurt him. The 7 Devil Vision has got 2 wins from 4 starts at Canterbury. Is a Minnesota bred, so is beating up on fellow Minnesota breds. But if he's, other than the fact that the horse tried the Minnesota Derby, which has been way over his head since he's been running on the dirt, has been doing really well. Is also cutting back here to sprint after routing exclusively in his career. So maybe that wakes him up. We haven't seen him since September though, so maybe that's why you didn't use him. But did you at least look at this horse? Because at 15 to 1, that price, it kind of intrigues me a little bit.
I did look at this horse. I mean, the last workout was kind of something that pulled me in there, that 47 flat workout. But the trainer just 1 for 27. I'm sorry, 2 for 27 off the 180 plus day layoff. Again, this is one of those where I think the horse probably needs a race or two to kind of get into its full abilities. It's interesting because you have both the 7 and the 8 from these trainers that really only run at Canterbury. You can see that in the running lines. I also think this race showed up a little bit tough. I mean, I thought that there were 4 horses in here that you could legit use if you wanted to. The 4-horse, the 2 the Punch was the other horse I considered using. If I did go too deep, this will be the next ad for me. Horses coming out of back-to-back stakes races. They were state-bred stakes races at Turf Paradise, but still stakes races. One of those 2 is going to be coming from off the pace. I'm afraid that the 6 furlongs may not be the perfect distance here. He is 4 for 17 at the distance, but because he's coming off the pace in a track where I'm looking for speed horses, I'm not necessarily in love with the 4-2 Punch, but that were to the Punch, that would be the next one I'd use. I think the 6 is interesting here. Horses coming out of fairgrounds races and then coming back to Canterbury. The horses has a win over the track, has won 3 times at the distance. McLean Robinson is one of the better trainers up there at Canterbury. It's the first time out in the form cycle as a 4-year-old. So I think there's some interest there. And then the 2, Dare Felix, was the other one I thought was kind of interesting. Again, this is one of the long layoff trainers, but that workout 2 back in 46 and 4 tells me the horse is ready to go. Again, this is a tough race to kind of close this thing out with.
And yet you're singling. Another thing I noticed with the number 3, Harry Keep the Change, is that where he was running in Florida, so 3 times at Tampa, 1 time at Gulfstream, you got good riders each time. You got Antonio Gallardo all 3 times to ride at Tampa. Gallardo is he and Sammy Camacho are my top 2 riders if I'm ever playing Tampa. So the fact that he was on this horse all 3 opportunities kind of made me think, oh, that's good. And I know that Edgard rode him and he finished 9th, beating 30.5 lengths, but the horse was wearing blinkers 1 time. And then that's the only time the horse has worn blinkers. So I'm willing to forgive that. The fact that Zayas was going to ride, I like that spot too. So you've got other jockeys from other circuits that we know saying, oh yeah, I'll pick this up. And now Ty Kennedy, who doesn't have a win yet at this meet, but is a very talented rider at Canterbury, is picking up the mount. So all good signs there on the number 3. Boy, it's just ballsy to single the last one and try and get out of it like that.
Well, it's one of those situations where you kind of go through the sequence, and that first race to me was just wild. And look, if you wanted to single the 3-horse in the second leg and go 3-4 here, or go 3-4-6 here, I wouldn't talk you out of that. I mean, to me, it really came down: do I single the 3-horse in the second leg, or do I single the 3-horse here in the last leg? And because I'm using what I think are going to be pretty heavily bet favorites while going 3 deep in 2 of those middle legs, I chose to single the 6-1 shot versus singling who will likely be the favorite, that 3-horse in the second leg coming in from Keeneland. So this is kind of my philosophy here, where I'm gonna take a little bit more of a stretch single so that I can play some horses that are bigger prices against favorites that I think are weaker than the ones in other spots.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thank you so much for joining us to go through the late pick 5 sequence on Tuesday, May 25th at Canterbury Park. Remember, that is a very, very low 10% takeout. Huge reason Mike and I are more than happy to support them. They already reached out to you on Twitter and said, hey, do you want to come to the press box, the paddock area? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. We're just North Carolina and California. We can't really, make that work. But we'll keep that in mind, Canterbury. We're excited. I've seen pictures. I mean, you see the background here. The place just looks gorgeous. And we've had people saying in the chat that they've been to Santa Anita, Del Mar. They've been to all these great tracks, and Canterbury is just absolutely gorgeous. So I hear that. I know how gorgeous Santa Anita, Del Mar can be. You tell me Canterbury's right up there, we're putting it on the list, Mike. We got to go there.
It is a party there too, man. Like I have a bunch of, obviously my wife's from Minnesota, from Stillwater, so just outside of where Canterbury is, and I've talked to a couple of people that go there, and they're like, it is nuts because it's just a party atmosphere, and they have the night racing, so you get everyone's drinking, everyone's having a good time. Supposedly it's just an absolute blast. And I would love to take him up on that. I would love to do a Magic Mike Roadshow where we go to these different tracks and do a live show on Thursday for a Saturday sequence and stay there for the weekend or whatever it is. So Canterbury, we'd definitely love to take you up on that at some point if we get the chance to. I think it'd be a blast to be there live. And you get Paul Allen on the mic too, who is like absolutely crazy. It's hilarious watching people react to him. If you don't watch Canterbury, dude, he is nuts. So it's a lot of fun to watch those races. He's a little quirky. He got a little bit of he's really accurate though. I'll give him that. Like a lot of the quirky race callers, they're not that accurate. They miss things. He sees everything and gives us some interesting calls and loves to do different plays on words. So I enjoy the Canterbury Park product, and I love that we have this 10% pick 5 to fire into.
Yeah. Paul Allen is literally the Minnesota Vikings play-by-play announcer for their radio, the main radio guy. So you've got an NFL radio play-by-play guy who's already going to be a little nuts, and then you throw him into a party atmosphere. I was looking on the Canterbury's website. They have the Bud Light deck or Bud Light Lounge. It's on the second floor that overlooks things, and they got a Bud Light deck, outdoor horse racing. Yes, I'm all things that I like. I mean, yes. So yeah, we're going to head over to Canterbury. Before we get out of here, Mike, let's go ahead and give the folks your ticket one last time. If you're watching live the replay, you can check down below. It's right there. But, Mike, go ahead and give the folks your 50-cent ticket for the late pick 5 sequence at Canterbury on Tuesday, May 25th.
Yeah, you got it. This is a high-risk, high-reward ticket here. We're going to go all in the first leg, go 3-4 in the second, with 4-7-8 in the third, with 3-4-7 in the fourth, and we're going to close it out with singling the 3-horse.
Nice and ballsy there. We are going to be back on Thursday to tackle the Belmont Park late pick 4 sequence for this coming Saturday, because if you missed the start of the show, Mike, you were a little hot there. A little hot at Belmont over the weekend. You and I both cashed the pick 4 from last Saturday, so a little chalky, but we were all over that sequence. The horses that we liked that were longer odds that didn't scratch out ended up running pretty well for us too, so very happy with how that went. Also, Pimlico has a huge carryover on Friday, and I saw you tease a little bit on Twitter. Are you thinking about a little extra bombs for Pimlico?
I might have to do it. It's going to be. I feel like we're almost like NHC level handicapping this week because I'm probably going to play Indiana Grand tomorrow. I've been playing Canterbury pick 5, so I'll probably play that tomorrow and all week. We've got Pimlico's pick 5 on Friday, which I'm sure I'll play. And if I'm doing Belmont and I already did Pimlico, I'm probably going to play the Stronach 5 too. So I got to handicap that. And then we got a tournament at Lone Star Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So there's 3 more cards. And then we got the Sama Bombs that are definitely going to be at Belmont Friday, Saturday, and probably Sunday. And by the way, Monday's a holiday, so we have racing on Monday too. So we might have like a 4 Sama Bomb Day weekend, plus have the double bombs on Friday. Plus we've got this pick 5 we're attacking, and then we got the tournament. It's a lot of paper is going to be wasted over at my house this week.
Burning down all the trees in North Carolina. I love it. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kellaward. He is at SummerBomb18, number 1, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. Like Mike said, lots of racing action this week. This weekend, there's plenty of things happening. Memorial Day means not 1, not 2, but 3 Grade 1 races at Santa Anita. We'll see if any of them can draw more than 6 horses. Fingers crossed, unless the Hollywood Gold Cup, because Tiz the Magician might be rerouting to go there. It's going to be a very small field, and if he's the only pace, yeah, I'm excited. I might have to make my debut at a racetrack just to go see that one. We will be back on Thursday at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. We'll let you know. You can go to YouTube, sign up, hit the subscribe button, get the notifications. You click that little bell. It'll tell you as soon as we go live. The Blinkers Off guys go live. Ricky's Rockets, you'll get those notifications. So until Thursday, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.